The Human Function Curve, understanding how to de-stress and live better. Welcome back, dear friends, to another episode of our journey into wellness, mental clarity, and emotional resilience. Today, I want to share with you a powerful yet simple idea that has helped thousands of people better understand their relationship with stress, and maybe it will help you too. It's called the Human Function Curve. Now, don't worry, this isn't some complicated scientific theory. It's actually a beautiful little diagram developed back in 1979 by a British cardiologist named Dr. Peter Nixon. And what he discovered is something you and I probably know deep down in our bones, that stress isn't always bad, but the way we handle it determines whether it fuels us or burns us out. So let's dive in. The Human Function Curve. Picture a curve, almost like a hill. On the left side, we have people who are bored, unfulfilled, maybe even stuck in life. There's no energy, no spark, no motivation. Then, as we climb up the hill, we move into a sweet spot. This is where stress actually helps us. It sharpens our focus, gives us energy, and pushes us to achieve things we didn't think we could. That's why Dr. Nixon called it the healthy stress zone. But here's the catch. If we keep going past that sweet spot, if the pressure continues to build without rest, we start sliding down the other side of the hill, and on this downhill slope, stress transforms. Suddenly, it's no longer our ally. We become anxious, irritable, tired, and mistake-prone. Eventually, we crash into burnout, mentally, emotionally, and physically. I'm sure you felt this curve in your own life. Think about a time when you had just the right amount of pressure, like preparing for an important presentation. You felt focused, alert, alive. But if the pressure kept piling up, more deadlines, more expectations, no time to rest, that same energy turned into overwhelm. That's the Human Function Curve. It's not just a theory, it's a mirror for our everyday experiences. Healthy stress versus distress. Now here's the key. Not all stress is bad. Dr. Nixon and many others who studied stress remind us that there are actually two kinds. Healthy stress, sometimes called eustress. Distress, unhealthy stress. Healthy stress is short-term. It's the nervous butterflies before a job interview, the adrenaline before giving a speech, or the determination you feel when chasing a goal. These moments stretch us, challenge us, and often bring out our best. And when it's over, we usually feel relief and even joy. But distress is different. Distress is when the tension is constant, heavy, and draining. It's the chronic pressure that lingers in the background, like financial worries, toxic relationships, or an overwhelming workload. Over time, distress eats away at our confidence, health, and peace of mind. Here's the tricky part. What counts as stress differs for everyone. A situation that feels exciting for one person might feel unbearable for another. That's why comparison is so dangerous. Beating yourself up for not handling things like others do only deepens the spiral. The first step instead is awareness. Ask yourself, am I anxious more than I am energized? Am I constantly irritable or snapping at small things? Do I feel exhausted even after rest? Am I juggling too many pressures at once? If the answer is yes, it's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you may be sliding down the curve, and it's time to pause, reflect, and reset. Beware of the comfort zone. But before we talk about distress, let's pause for a moment and look at the comfort zone. It's that cozy place in the middle of the curve where things are easy, predictable, and safe. Comfort zones feel nice because they're familiar, but the problem is, they're also flat. Stay there too long, and life begins to feel dull. Think of it like sitting in lukewarm water. At first, it's soothing, but over time, it becomes stale. The truth is, we need gentle challenges. We need the spark of new experiences to keep our minds and hearts alive. Stepping out of your comfort zone doesn't have to mean something dramatic like quitting your job or moving to another country. Sometimes it's as small as starting a new hobby, joining a class, reaching out to make new friends, taking a different route to work, or even setting a new personal goal. Each time you stretch yourself, even if you fail, you grow. You expand your horizons, discover your strengths, and build resilience. And slowly, that sense of boredom and stagnation melts away, the strains of distress. But let's return to the darker side of the curve, distress. When we live in long-term stress, our body begins to break down. Stress hormones like cortisol flood our system, keeping us on high alert. At first, this helps us survive. But when the system never switches off, it becomes destructive. We feel exhausted. Our immune system weakens. We fall sick more often. Mentally, we lose confidence, self-esteem, and hope. Think of it like driving a car in high gear without ever stopping. Eventually, the engine overheats. In the same way, constant stress overheats our system. That's why listening to your body is so important. Irritability, exhaustion, brain fog. These are not just annoyances, they are alarm bells. They're your body's way of saying, slow down, rethink, take care of me. Gentle reflection. So here's my invitation to you, my friend. Take a quiet moment today and place yourself on this human function curve. Are you in boredom and stagnation? Are you in healthy stress, energized and focused? Or have you slipped into distress, feeling drained and overwhelmed? Wherever you are, don't judge yourself. The curve is not about success or failure. It's simply a map, a reminder that life is a balance. The beauty is that once you see where you are, you can make small, intentional shifts to climb back to your healthy zone. Let me leave you with 3 simple practices. Pause and breathe. Whenever you feel pressure mounting, take 5 slow breaths. It resets your nervous system. Check in with yourself. Each day, ask, am I energized or exhausted? Be honest and adjust your day accordingly. Stretch beyond comfort. Choose one small action this week that nudges you out of your comfort zone. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but remember, that's where growth begins. Friends, stress will always be part of life. But how we dance with it determines whether it becomes our fuel or our downfall. So, may you find balance on your curve. May you learn to rest when you need to, rise when it's time, and grow with courage in every season. Let's go deeper. Because knowing about stress isn't enough. We need to recognize its warning signs in our own lives, understand its effects on our body and mind, and most importantly, learn how to de-stress and find happiness again. The hidden cost of stress on the body. Stress doesn't just live in the mind, it takes residence in the body. Think about the last time you felt really anxious. Maybe your heart raced, maybe your stomach turned, maybe you couldn't sleep. That's not coincidence. Stress has very real physical effects. Some of the most common include headaches and muscle tension, fatigue and low energy, stomach issues like gastritis or heartburn, trouble sleeping, a weakened immune system leading to frequent colds, and in more severe cases, chest pain, rapid heartbeat, and even cardiovascular disorders. Now, if these symptoms go unchecked, they don't just fade away. Long-term stress can weaken bones, slow down nerves, blur vision, and even damage the heart. It's like slowly overworking an engine until it breaks down. Stress on the mind and mood. But stress doesn't stop with the body. It reshapes the mind too. Have you ever noticed how much harder it is to focus when you're under pressure? Or how small frustrations suddenly make you snap? Stress often shows up as restlessness and insomnia, irritability or even angry outbursts, lack of motivation, social withdrawal, pulling away from friends and loved ones, and in some cases, dependency on alcohol, drugs, or cigarettes just to cope. Left unchecked, stress can deepen into depression, paranoia, or crippling anxiety. It's not just about feeling stressed, it's about losing touch with yourself and your joy. Life events and illness. Back in 1967, psychiatrists Thomas Holmes and Richard Rahay studied over 5,000 medical records to see if stressful life events could predict illness. And guess what? They could. They created something called the Holmes and Rahay Stress Scale, a list of 43 life events that raise the risk of illness. Of course, we expect things like losing a job, divorce, or the death of a loved one to create stress. But surprisingly, even positive changes like getting married, moving into a new home, or going on holiday showed up as stress triggers. The truth is, our bodies don't distinguish much between good stress and bad stress. Change is change. Pressure is pressure. And if we don't care for ourselves, even exciting events can wear us down. The stress we put on ourselves. Sometimes, stress doesn't come from outside events. It comes from the way we treat ourselves. Think about how often we sacrifice our own needs to please others. Maybe we skip rest to work late, or suppress our feelings to keep the peace. Slowly, this pattern sends us a dangerous message. My needs don't matter. Over time, this erodes self-worth. It creates guilt for even thinking about self-care. And ironically, by neglecting ourselves, we become less capable of truly supporting others. Remember this: self-care is not selfish. It is survival, work, and the road to burnout. Work is one of the biggest sources of stress. For some, work is a passion. But for many, it feels repetitive, unfulfilling, or overwhelming. It often starts with excitement, the honeymoon stage of a new job. Then, slowly, stress creeps in. Long hours, tight deadlines, lack of recognition. If left unchecked, this road leads to exhaustion, resentment, and burnout. The key is to catch yourself early, when frustration begins, rather than waiting until burnout takes over. The power of your thoughts. Here's something fascinating. Our thoughts can make us sick, but they can also make us well. Negative thought patterns like constant self-criticism, fear, or hopelessness can fuel stress and even manifest as illness. But as Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches, if negative thoughts can harm, positive and constructive thoughts can heal. This means we must regularly check in with our mental habits. Ask yourself, what stories am I telling myself daily? Do my thoughts uplift me or drag me down? Do I want to keep carrying these beliefs forward? When we challenge negative thought loops, we open space for new healing ones to take root. The fine art of being happy. Happiness isn't an accident, it's a practice. The 2019 World Happiness Report ranked Finland as the happiest country, followed closely by Denmark, Norway, Iceland, and the Netherlands. These societies thrive not just because of wealth, but because they invest in community, support, and belonging. But happiness isn't only about society. It's about what we create for ourselves. As Make Weeking, founder of the Happiness Research Institute, says, we can be the architects of our own memories. That means intentionally building a bank of joyful moments, spending time with loved ones, pursuing hobbies, savoring nature, or simply laughing more. Happiness is not permanent, but it can be cultivated, memory by memory. The benefits of exercise. And finally, let's not forget the body's best natural medicine, movement. Exercise reduces stress hormones, boosts mood, strengthens the immune system, and protects against countless diseases, from diabetes to heart problems to depression. The beauty is, exercise doesn't have to be complicated. Whether it's walking, dancing in your living room, yoga, swimming, or cycling, what matters is consistency. Experts recommend about 150 minutes a week. That's just 30 minutes a day, 5 times a week. Think of it not as a chore, but as a gift you give your body and mind. Gentle takeaways. So how do we truly de-stress? Let me leave you with 5 gentle practices. Listen to your body. Notice the small signals before they grow into bigger problems. Honor your needs. Stop sacrificing yourself endlessly. Self-care is not indulgence. It is necessity. Reframe your thoughts, challenge negativity, and invite new, empowering perspectives. Invest in happiness. Build joyful memories intentionally. They will carry you through hard times. Move your body. Find an activity you enjoy, and let it become your weekly ritual of renewal. Friends, stress is part of the human story, but we don't have to let it control us. By understanding its effects, respecting our own needs, and cultivating small daily habits, we can transform stress from a heavy burden into a wise teacher. Remember, life isn't about avoiding stress completely. It's about learning how to dance with it, with awareness, with compassion, and with courage. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time, take a deep breath, smile gently at yourself, and remember, you deserve peace.